Jasper and a few of the football guys kicked in the locker room door. They had the latest iPhones in hand, cameras zooming in on me. I screamed and hid in a locker, but they grabbed my hair and dragged me out, flashes from the cameras blinding me. When I was 5, I crushed a bottle of rat poison into powder. I mixed it into leftover butter from my mom's almond crisps. I smeared it across the stone bench under the old tree in our yard. Behind our Brooklyn brownstone, the air always smelled like toast. Next door's pit bull roamed free every afternoon, ball in his mouth. He'd sprawl on that bench, drool darkening the stone. Disgusting. That day, I hid behind the curtains and watched. The dog hopped up and licked the butter clean. His tail wagged, blind to the scent of death. 30 minutes later, a piercing scream cut the yard. I leaned out the window. He was convulsing, foam at his mouth. His claws tore the dirt into deep grooves. 3 hours later, in a steel cage at the vet, he stopped breathing.
It was that little bastard! She's a devil! A monster! One that God forgot to give a heart!
My parents took me to the psych ward at Johns Hopkins Hospital. Cold EEG sensors were stuck to my scalp, buzzing on the screen in sharp, chaotic waves. The doctor held the report, his fingers turning white, voice like a winter icicle, cutting through the silence of the room.
A rare, extraordinarily high IQ, paired with severe bipolar disorder and sociopathic tendencies. This child's empathy is almost non-existent. Her mind was born to calculate and destroy.
They threw me into Craig Psychiatric Hospital, out in the Maryland countryside. Rusty iron bars locked away 10 years of my life. The nurses' eyes were filled with disgust, and the other patients avoided me like I was a plague. Only my twin sister Lena was the one bright spot in that gray world. She'd sneak in my favorite almond brittle, sitting by the glass in the visiting room, mouthing, "I'll come back to get you." Her smile was soft, like sunlight in spring, calming the storm inside me, if only for a moment. The visits went from weekly to monthly, then stretched to 3 months and 7 days. That day, the heavy iron door finally creaked open. Standing outside wasn't Lena, it was our mother, Maggie, looking like a ghost. Her blonde hair was mostly gray, her eyes sunken, red veins spidering across her tired face. No greetings, no hugs. Like a puppet with its soul pulled out, she mechanically signed the release papers, shoving me into that dusty old sedan. In the back seat, there was a blood-stained leather notebook, Lena's name stitched crookedly on the cover. The same design I taught her to sew on her 15th birthday.
Lena's gone.
Maggie's voice trembled, barely recognizable. Her bony fingers gripped the steering wheel, knuckles turning white.
She slit her wrists in the dorm bathroom at Phillips Prep. Blood soaked the room all night long. When the janitor found her, her hands were still in the warm water, like she was just sleeping.
I took the diary, my fingers brushing against the dried blood. But I felt strangely calm. So calm, it almost felt like a stranger to me, like hearing news of a loved one's death wasn't personal, but just another boring weather report. Suddenly, Maggie grabbed my shoulder, her nails digging into my skin. In her eyes, once so gentle, burned a wild, almost insane despair.
Look at what she went through at that damn prep school! They called you a monster, a genius, a mad woman with a blade in hand. So use your madness to tear those bastards apart, piece by piece.
The handwriting in the diary went from neat and elegant to twisted and broken. Where the ink smeared, there were dried tear stains. September 12th, first day of school. The campus looked like something out of a movie, like a palace. The lawn was perfectly manicured, and the bell tower rang like a church bell calling for prayer. My lunchbox, just some discounted brown rice Mom bought from the store, got knocked to the ground by Lillian Carter. The rice mixed with dirt, a total mess. She pinched her nose and screamed, her voice high-pitched, like nails scraping across glass.
Oh my God, what is this garbage? Of course poor people are only fit for pig food.
Everyone around me was laughing. I knelt down, picking up the rice, my tears falling into it, making it taste salty and bitter. Mr. Wally, the homeroom teacher, walked over, gave my shoulder a quick pat, and quietly said,
Don't feel inferior. As long as your grades are good, that's all that matters.
But then he turned and started chatting with Lillian's dad, Chairman Carter. October 5th. During gym class, when we were changing, Jasper and a few of the football guys kicked in the locker room door. They had the latest iPhones in hand, cameras zooming in on me. I screamed and hid in a locker, but they grabbed my hair and dragged me out, flashes from the cameras blinding me. The video was posted to the school's social media, titled, "The Ugly Duckling from the Ghetto." I went to Mr. Wall, the homeroom teacher. He frowned, pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses, and mumbled, his voice vague.
Don't make a big deal out of this. Lillian Carter's father is on the board, and the Justin family donated a whole building. Making this public won't do you any good.
November 20th. Lillian Carter accused me of stealing her limited edition pen. The pen was a birthday gift from her dad, brought back from Switzerland, said to be worth $3,000. She had her friends search my locker, tore apart my backpack, books scattered everywhere, but still, no pen. Then she slapped me, so hard blood dripped from the corner of my mouth.
You definitely hit it! You little thief. You broke loser.
She forced me to kneel in the hallway and apologize. Students passing by were all taking pictures. Sash held up her phone, laughing the loudest. She posted the photo across all social platforms, captioned, "The Thief's Confession." In the end, they locked me in the abandoned equipment room, left me there the entire night. In the dark, rats scurried past my feet. I hugged my knees, crying until my throat was raw. But no one came to save me. March 2nd. Jasper cornered me in an alley on the way home. The stench of alcohol was overwhelming, his eyes leering as they scanned me. He said if I obeyed him, he'd give me money, enough for my mom to pay rent for 3 months. I bit his hand. He was furious, humiliated, and ripped my school uniform apart, snapping photos of me as he did.
Let everyone see what kind of disgusting behavior lies beneath the so-called cold, perfect class beauty and top student.
March 25th. They were getting worse. Someone stuffed dead mice in my locker, and someone spit in my lunch. Wally told me to hang in there, saying,
Just hold on until graduation.
Wally watched me get bullied and pretended he didn't see a thing.
What do I do? Who can save me? Please, someone, save me.
The last few pages of the diary were soaked with dried water stains. Lena's tears. The despair between the lines felt like cold seawater, almost bleeding through the paper, ready to drown me. I closed the diary, my eyes frozen solid. Mad thoughts raced through my mind, spinning like precision gears, clicking, turning, humming low. Every bully's name, every detail of what happened, was clearly recorded, woven into a tight net, a net of revenge.
Mom, do you still have Lena's uniform, her textbooks, her student ID?
My voice was soft, filled with an eerie calm. Maggie flinched, stepping back at the strange look in my eyes and my smile. She instinctively nodded and pointed to the living room closet. Inside, Lena's school uniform hung, faded but neatly folded. Next to it were her textbooks, her name written on the front page, and her favorite pen. I stood up, walked to the closet, and pulled out the uniform, slipping it on. It fit perfectly, like it was made for me. From now on, I was Lena. I walked into the bathroom and turned on the light. The girl in the mirror had Lena's exact face, the same brows, the same eyes, the same nose. But my gaze was colder than hers, cold as Siberian winds. I took a sharp utility knife and, staring into the mirror, carved the exact same scars into my skin that were described in the diary. Bruises on my wrists, scratches on my arms, scabs on my knees. 1, 2, 3. Blood seeped out, staining the cuffs of the uniform, but I didn't feel the pain. Maggie stood silently in the doorway, covering her face, crying without a sound. Her tears fell to the floor, spreading into a small, dark stain. A few days later, the wounds began to scab over, the bruises turning a deep purple brown. I strapped on Lena's backpack, practicing her movements in the mirror. Mimicking how she always lowered her head, eyes avoiding the gaze. Mimicking the soft, feather-like tone when she spoke. Mimicking the way she bit her lip when she was hurt, holding back tears. The girl in the mirror looked more and more like Lena. So much so that even I could hardly tell anymore. Who was I, really?
Mom, I'm heading to school.
I turned around and smiled at Maggie. The smile was soft, gentle, just like Lena's. Maggie looked at me. Her lips moved, but no words came out. She simply handed me a paper bag. Inside were my favorite almond crisps. I walked out the door, the sun warm on my skin. But I knew, deep inside me, there was a devil from hell. The devil was laughing, wild, crazy laughter. Phillips Academy, the so-called Ivy League cradle, was just ahead. There lay my sister's grave, and there was my hunting ground for revenge. The moment I stepped through the gates of Phillips Academy, I was Lena on the outside, timid, scared. But inside, I was a poisoned hunter.